You've probably felt it, right? You're scrolling through your feed, you see a video, and this little voice in your head asks, wait, is that even real? Well, as artificial intelligence gets more and more powerful, that question is becoming almost impossible to answer. So today, we're going to dig into China's really bold and kind of radical attempt to solve this exact problem. I mean, really stop and think about that for a second. That voice memo that sounds just like your boss, that photo of a world leader doing something unbelievable, that news clip that seems a little too perfect. Literally any of it could be a super sophisticated fake. And look, this isn't some far-off sci-fi problem. It is happening right now, and it's kicking off a global scramble to figure out what to do. All right, so let's break down why this is such a massive deal. For basically all of human history, we've had a pretty reliable tool to figure out what's true, our own eyes and ears. Well, generative AI is coming in and systematically taking a sledgehammer to that foundation of trust. It's creating a digital world where, yeah, seeing is no longer believing. We've all started hearing these crazy stories, right? Like the one about the executive who got tricked into wiring away hundreds of thousands of dollars because of an AI-cloned voice of his CEO. So we're not just talking about funny fake images of celebrities here. No, we're talking about incredibly powerful tools that can be used to interfere with elections, pull off complex financial crimes, and for deeply personal, damaging impersonations. The potential for harm here is just huge. So when you're facing a challenge that big, how do you respond? Well, if you're one of the world's biggest AI powerhouses, you don't wait around. China has jumped in with both feet, rolling out this sweeping system of mandatory labels for pretty much anything and everything generated by AI. It is, without a doubt, one of the first and most ambitious attempts to bring some kind of order to this new digital chaos. And what is just wild here is the speed. I mean, we're talking about going from the first draft of a regulation to full-blown implementation in less than 6 months. And they're not even done. They've already got even stricter standards locked in for the near future. This tells you there is a serious sense of urgency in Beijing to get way out ahead of this problem. At its core, the idea is actually brilliantly simple. If a machine made it, you, the public, have a right to know. The whole point is to force AI-generated content out of the shadows. The stated goals are, 1, to try and rebuild some of that digital trust we've lost, and 2, to create a clear line of accountability when that content is used to trick people or cause harm. Okay, so what does this all actually look like in the real world for the person coding an AI app or, for you just scrolling through Douyin, which is kind of like the Chinese version of TikTok? These rules get surprisingly specific, and they touch every single part of the whole content creation pipeline. So this system basically works on 2 different levels. First, you've got the explicit stuff, the things you can actually see, the things you can actually see. Think of a little tag on a video that says, generated by AI. But then, underneath all that, there's a second, implicit layer, a hidden digital watermark that's baked right into the file's data. It creates a permanent digital fingerprint, which means the content can always be traced back to where it came from. So who's on the hook to make sure all this actually happens? Well, the short answer is pretty much everyone. The responsibility is spread across the entire ecosystem. That means the company that built the AI tool in the first place, the social media platform that hosts the content, the app store that distributes the app, and even the individual user who hits the post button. And the level of detail is just fascinating. For, say, an AI-generated podcast, you might literally hear a spoken disclaimer at the start and end, something like, portions of this audio were created using generative AI. For a video, a clear visual marker has to pop up right at the beginning. They're not leaving a lot of room for guesswork here. Now, as you can probably imagine, a rule this big, this far-reaching, well, it sends some serious shockwaves through the tech and creative worlds. And the reactions are not black and white at all. They really shine a light on this fundamental tension between wanting to innovate and needing to have some control. And this is the core anxiety. I mean, just imagine you're a digital artist or a filmmaker. If every single creative choice you make with an AI tool means you have to navigate this complicated web of rules, does that just kill your desire to experiment? Does it make you less likely to try something really bold and new? That's the big fear. For a giant tech company, these rules could actually be a marketing opportunity, a way to say, hey, look at us, we're the responsible AI guys. But for a small startup working out of a garage, it could be a crushing mountain of legal fees and technical costs. And then for the public, Well, it's a complicated trade-off. Sure, we get more transparency, but does it also open the door for more censorship and control over what we can say and create online? Okay, so why should a policy coming out of Beijing matter if you're in Berlin or Sao Paulo or Silicon Valley? Well, because in the hyper-connected world of technology, these kinds of regulatory ideas, they can be contagious. Everybody is watching China's big experiment to see what they can learn. And it is so crucial to understand the cultural context here. In China, and really across a lot of Asia, public feeling about AI is overwhelmingly positive. That creates a totally different political environment for passing strong regulations compared to the West, where, let's be honest, the conversation is often dominated by a lot of skepticism and fear. So right now, we're seeing two fundamentally different ways of thinking about this emerge. You've got China's approach, which is like a laser beam. It's fast, it's targeted, and it's focused on very specific AI uses. Then you have the European Union with its AI Act, which is more like a floodlight. It's broad, comprehensive, and really focused on setting up basic rights and principles first. And we just cannot ignore the sheer economic gravity here. We are talking about a domestic AI market that's projected to be worth over $150 billion. To put that into perspective for you, that is more than the entire global music industry. So yeah, when a market that big makes a regulatory choice, it is absolutely going to shape global standards and competition. Ultimately, what this all comes down to is that China is running a massive, real-world experiment in digital trust, and other countries who are all wrestling with the exact same problems of deepfakes and misinformation are watching very, very closely to see if this model becomes the blueprint to follow, or maybe a cautionary tale to avoid. Which leaves us with this one big, provocative final thought. Is this it? Is this the future? A digital world where every single piece of AI-generated content has to come with a warning label? It might solve the problem of telling real from fake, sure, but what new, unexpected problems might it create along the way? That right there, that's the question that's going to shape the next era of the internet.